You have done everything right. You have ended the relationships that hurt you. You have taken the time alone. You have reflected, journaled, talked it through with friends, maybe even sat across from a therapist and mapped the whole history out loud. You have grown. You have healed. You have shown up to the next person more self-aware than you have ever been. And somehow, quietly, confusingly, in a way that makes no sense given everything you have done, it happened again. Not identically. Never identically. The name is different. The face is different. The specific way it falls apart is different. But somewhere in the middle of it, you felt something you have felt before. A familiar weight. A familiar dynamic. A familiar version of yourself showing up that you thought you had left behind. And the question that follows is the one nobody wants to ask out loud. Is it me? This video is not going to tell you that you are broken. It is not going to hand you a checklist, or a healing plan, or a 5-step framework. What it is going to do is show you something specific, a pattern that operates below the level of conscious choice. Below the level where reflection and willpower can reach and give you real language for what has actually been happening. Because the answer to that question, is it me, is both simpler and more compassionate than you think. There are 10 questions ahead. Answer them honestly. Not the answer that sounds most evolved. Not the answer that reflects who you are after the therapy and the growth and the self-work. The answer that is true the moment the feeling actually arrives before you talk yourself out of it. Ready? Let us find out what is actually going on. Question number 1. When you first meet someone and feel an intense, immediate connection, that magnetic pull that makes everything feel electric, what do you do with that feeling? 1. I enjoy it but stay grounded. Chemistry is a starting point, not a destination. 2. I lean into it completely. That intensity is exactly what I have been looking for. 3. I feel it, but immediately start looking for reasons it will not work. 4. It makes me nervous. Intensity has burned me before, and I pull back slightly. 5. I mistake it for love before I have enough information to know if that is true. Question number 2. Think about the last person who hurt you in a relationship. When you look back now, were the signs there early? 1. Some were. I saw them, but thought things would change. 2. They were there, but I explained them away, because the connection felt too good to question. 3. I saw them clearly, and stayed anyway because leaving felt harder than hoping. 4. I genuinely did not see them. They appeared gradually, and I adapted to each one. 5. I saw them and felt drawn in more, not less. The uncertainty felt like excitement. Question number 3. How comfortable are you when a relationship feels genuinely calm, consistent, and safe? 1. Very. Stability is what I am looking for. 2. Mostly comfortable, but I sometimes wonder if calm means we are losing something. 3. It makes me slightly uneasy in a way I cannot fully explain. 4. Honestly, it makes me feel like something is missing. 5. Calm has sometimes made me feel less interested, like the spark has gone. Question number 4. When someone is emotionally unavailable, hard to read, inconsistent, running hot and cold, how does that affect your level of interest? 1. It reduces my interest. I need consistency to feel safe. 2. I notice I work harder to get their attention without realizing I am doing it. 3. It frustrates me, but I tend to stay and try to earn the consistency I need. 4. Something in me reads the unavailability as a challenge worth solving. 5. I have confused unavailability with depth more times than I want to admit. Question number 5. When a relationship ends, what do you tend to do with your portion of the responsibility? 1. I examine it honestly and take what is mine without taking what is not. 2. I tend to take more responsibility than is accurate because it feels within my control. 3. I focus on what they did, because looking at my own patterns is harder. 4. I understand it intellectually, but emotionally, I blame myself for everything. 5. I cycle between blaming them entirely and blaming myself entirely without landing anywhere honest. If these questions are finding something real in you, if one of those answers felt uncomfortably accurate, please take 1 second and like this video right now. It helps this reach someone else who has been asking the same quiet question and has not yet found an honest answer. And if you want to keep having conversations that tell you the truth about your own patterns, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. This community grows one person at a time, and every subscription genuinely makes this work possible. Question number 6. How do you typically feel in the early stages of a relationship that eventually turns out to be wrong for you? 1. Cautiously hopeful. I take my time before fully opening up. 2. Completely alive. The early stage feels like finally being seen. 3. Anxious in a way I interpret it as excitement. 4. Like I have found the person who understands me in a way nobody else has. 5. Like I need to be who they need me to be before showing them who I actually am. Question number 7. When you imagine a partner who is consistently available, openly affectionate, and straightforwardly interested in you, what is your honest reaction? 1. That is exactly what I want, and I recognize it when it arrives. 2. I want it, but something in me does not quite trust it when it appears. 3. I find myself more attracted to people who make me work for that feeling. 4. Available has sometimes felt boring to me before I understood why. 5. I have overlooked people like that because the feeling was not intense enough at the start. Question number 8. How much of your sense of self-worth in a relationship is tied to whether the other person chooses you consistently? 1. Very little. My sense of self does not live in someone else's consistency. 2. More than I would like. Their withdrawal affects how I see myself. 3. Significantly. When they pull away, I become smaller and work harder. 4. Almost entirely in certain relationships. Their approval became my emotional baseline. 5. I have built entire versions of myself around what a specific person seemed to need. Question number 9. When you feel a strong emotional pull towards someone, how much do you know about them before the pull arrives? 1. Enough. I let the connection develop before the investment deepens. 2. Not much. The feeling tends to arrive before the information does. 3. Very little. I fall for potential and spend the relationship hoping it becomes real. 4. I fall for how someone makes me feel about myself more than who they actually are. 5. I have mistaken the feeling needed by someone for loving them. Question number 10. Right now, honestly, sitting with everything these questions have surfaced, what feels most true about the pattern you keep finding yourself in? 1. I choose with my eyes open, but sometimes ignore what I see. 2. I am drawn to intensity, and have not yet learned to separate intensity from compatibility. 3. I keep choosing people who need fixing because being needed feels like being loved. 4. I am more comfortable with uncertain love than with love that feels safe and sure. 5. I have been trying to resolve something old through people who were never the right vehicle for that resolution. Now, look at where your answers landed. Mostly 1s and 2s. Your patterns are relatively conscious. You see clearly and occasionally override what you see. The work for you is not self-understanding, you have that. It is building the tolerance to act on what you already know in the moments when the pull is strongest. Knowing and doing are different skills. You are developing the second one, mostly 3s and 4s. There is a gap between what you want and what you are drawn to, and you feel that gap acutely. The relationships that have hurt you most were probably ones where you worked hardest for something that should not have required that much work. The pattern here is not a failure of taste. It is a nervous system that learns to interpret effort as love. That is rewritable, but it requires catching the moment before the story starts, not after you are already inside it. Mostly 5s. The pattern runs deep, and it did not start with any of the people you have been trying to heal from. It started earlier. In an environment where love was inconsistent, conditional, or something you had to earn, rather than something you were simply given. The people you keep attracting are not accidents. They are familiar. And familiar, for a nervous system shaped by early inconsistency, registers as safe even when it is anything but. This is not your fault, but it is your work. And the most important relationship to examine right now is not any of the ones that hurt you. It is the first one that taught you what love felt like. Here is the truth that sits underneath all 10 of those questions. You do not keep attracting the wrong people because something is wrong with you. You keep attracting them because something in you recognizes them. Because a pattern established long before you had any conscious choice in the matter, set your nervous system to a specific frequency, and that frequency keeps finding its match. Awareness does not immediately change the frequency, but it is the only thing that eventually can. The person you are looking for is not out there waiting to be found by a better version of you. They are waiting to be chosen by a version of you that finally understands the difference between what feels familiar and what is actually good. That version of you is closer than you think. These 10 questions are evidence of that. Which question landed hardest? The one that named something you have been carrying without language for it. Leave the number in the comments. You do not need to explain. Just the number. This community understands more than you think. Like this video if it found something real. And subscribe to this channel. It is the single most important thing you can do to keep these conversations growing and reaching the people who need them most. I will see you in the next one.